Hi, welcome to Board Game Express. Today, we're going to rules blitz La Granja. The easiest way to play La Granja is to follow this excellent player aid that everyone will have. So let's check it out. In the first phase of the game, La Granja is going to go 6 turns, each of which has 4 phases. So we start with the first phase of the game, where the first step is going to be play a card and then draw back up to your hand. Now everyone's going to start with 4 cards, and on the first turn of the game, and only the first turn, you're actually going to play 2 cards. So just kind of remember, turn 1, play 2 cards. After that, every turn is play 1 card. Now, let's talk about playing the cards a little bit, because La Granja has some of the coolest cards you will ever see. So here is an example of one. Now, when you choose to play a card, you are going to have 4 options. The first option is to play the card on the left of your board. So I'm just going to use this board as an example. On the left of the board, the card is going to behave as an open field. So either an olive, a wheat, or a grape field. And it's going to generate one of that product every single turn. No limit to how many you have. On the right side of the board, I'm going to use this one as an example, the card is going to be what's called a farm extension. Now, the first thing to understand is that if you play a card on the right side of your board, you do have a price to pay to do it. And that's what this chart on the upper right side of your player board is going to be. You have to pay, for the first card, 1 good of any type. So basically, any good that's in the game, or you can pay a money or a victory point. Now, if you are going to play a second card to the right, so like this, then that card is going to cost you 2 goods. And there's a little not equal sign here, meaning you have to pay 2 different goods. So maybe like a grape and a victory point, whatever. And so on and so forth. You can play as many as you want on the right side, but the next one's going to cost 3 and 4, and at some point it's going to get prohibitively expensive. So next, you can play a card to the top of your board, and it will look basically like this. And on the top of your board is going to be what's known as a market barrow. And it's going to have a couple of goods, 2 to 4 goods that are sort of like an order that the customer is going to want. And you fulfill those, and you are going to score that number of victory points underneath. You are only allowed to have 3 of these orders open at a time. When you finish them, you will discard the card. But in the event you want to put out another one, you are allowed to discard a previous one and replace it. Now finally, and perhaps most interestingly, you can play the card on the bottom, which is going to fit in one of these 3 grooves down here. And this is what's known as a helper. And every single card in the game is going to be dramatically different. You're just going to have to read the text. They each are color-coded to tell you in what phase of the game they trigger. And a lot of them will have this little symbol on the bottom corner. It's a 1x. That means you can only use that effect 1 time per round. If it doesn't have that 1x, then it's most likely a passive power that's pretty much always on whenever you trigger the effect. Just like you would imply, there are 3 spaces. You can only have 3 helpers at a time. You are allowed to play another one and simply discard one of your previous ones. No big deal. Alright, so that is sort of the biggest aspect of the game and the biggest part of your setup, that the cards you choose to play and which direction you play them and which way they expand your farm is going to have a big part of how you actually do. Alright, so that's step 1. Play a card. Draw up to your hand size, which is 3 at the start of the game, can be expanded by playing cards to the right side. Step number 2, you're going to collect income. That is everything in blue. At the beginning of the game, you're not going to have any income, but as you play cards out to the right, a lot of them are going to have a coin income, so that will be your income. And as you earn these 3 tiles, bonus tiles during the game, you're going to have income coming from that as well. The third step is the sort of the farm produce step. Any fields that you've placed to the left of your board are going to produce a good in the field itself, and if you already own 2 pigs, then you are going to be able to breed, just like a couple of other games you might be familiar with, so long as you have an extension on the right side with an empty space. So during step 3, if you have 2 and an empty space, ta-da, you get another pig. Now, to that end, let's talk about something that is going to happen at any time you want. there is a number on each of the goods in the den and in the little pig storage area that has a higher and a lower number. The higher number is what you can pay at any time, your turn, someone else's turn, whatever, to buy that object. So if you, for some reason, like maybe it's right before it's time to breed and you only have one pig, you can pay 5 coins, pig magically appears, and then immediately breed. You can also, let's say breeding is about to happen and this is full, you can sell a pig for 3 coins instantly, and then voila, you're going to get a new pig in its place. Now note that, like a lot of other games with this breeding mechanic, you cannot instantly kill a new pig. So in other words, if I don't have that space to grow and breed that new pig, I cannot grow it immediately, get the money. Doesn't work like that. You have to have space to house it at least for a split second before you do that. All right, so step 3 is produce goods on the left, produce pigs on the right. And finally, step 4, it's got a little picture of a roof. You are going to, in turn order, so 1, 2, 3, buy roof tiles. The roof tiles have a cost equal to the round number, so they're printed with a 1 right now. In the future, you're going to draw 2, 3, rounds 4, 5, and 6. In the first turn of the game, you are going to buy in reverse turn order. So these are 2 little details to remember while you're playing. Play 2 cards on turn 1, buy roofs in reverse order on turn 1. All right, so you buy a roof. So let's say blue. Green doesn't have a board, but. And then red. And as you buy more roofs, you'll see that there are victory points attached. So if you buy a second roof, you get a point. Buy a third roof, 2 points, etc., etc. You're only allowed 5 roofs maximum. You cannot replace them. All right, so that ends phase 1, which is the farm phase. Now, phase 2, the dice phase, or the revenue phase. So there should be 2 dice per player. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a 3-player game. And then 1 extra die that will be used by all players. So roll them. And then place them over here. So 2, 4, looks like another 6, and a 3, and no pigs. And in turn order, so 1, 2, 3, everyone's going to draft 1 die and then choose the reward that they want. So player 1 may choose a 4 die, take 4 money, put it here. Green gets to choose a die. Maybe green wants 2 resources, and then red picks something. And then again, take a second die in turn order. So let's say he takes that, and only 2 6s left, takes that. Now, when everyone has chosen 2 dice, there will be 1 left over. That die, the third round, will be used by all players simultaneously, and just, they will be used by all players at this part of the game, but in turn order, you can choose either for a 6 die, a donkey, or 2 money. So basically, 2 dice that you draft, you will get that, and then the dice that everyone leaves, you will get that. And that is phase 2. Phase 3 is going to be basically the delivery phase, where you're going to move all your goods onto the board and the bulk of where your points are going to come from. So let's take a look at that. The first thing everyone's going to do, you have to start the game 4 what are called donkey tiles, and you're going to bid with these. Everyone is going to secretly select one, so every player picks one, and then simultaneously reveal. Each of these tiles has a number of donkeys and possibly some hats, which are siesta track movements on them. So let's say picks 1. I'm just going to choose randomly. Picks 1, and green's going to pick 1. So after everyone chooses one and reveals, the second thing you're going to do is each player in turn order, and this is important, you're going to move up the siesta track however many hats you see. And note that it's possible that because there are siestas available on dice number 5, not everyone might be on the bottom to start this part of the phase. So it looks like blue did not choose any. What did green take? Green's got 3 hats. Oh, that's too many. Didn't need to do that, green. And then red, 2 hats. All right, so now, based on this, redistribute the turn order tiles. Green will now be number 1, red will be number 2, and blue will be number 3. And this is one of the very few games that I can think of where turn order kind of changes right in the middle of a round. But it does, and now you will act the rest of this round in this turn order. So redistribute, and by the way, leave these here. Also, if two markers land perfectly on top of each other, then the player on top is going first. So green would be first in this example. All right, so at step 2, step 3 is you are going to use, in the new turn order, the donkey delivery actions that you've bid. So blue would be allowed to do 4 deliveries. So a delivery is take one good that you have, one of the 8 goods in the game, a pig, a grape, an olive, etc., and then deliver it to either what's known as a craft building, that's these 6, but notice the X's block them off until later in the game, or you can deliver them, if you have previously played a card up here, into your market barrow or order. So let's say I had a wheat, you use a donkey delivery action to put it on the wheat. So choose either or. Everyone will deliver the number of donkeys they have, and then step 4 is everyone will get to do paid donkey deliveries, which are indicated on the right side of your board. All players start with the ability to buy 1, and if you have the appropriate farm extension, you can buy more. So blue now can choose, because blue has 2 of these symbols, he can pay 0, 1, or 2 to buy that number of additional deliveries. So he can pay 1 to deliver once, pay 2 to deliver twice. Notice this payment must be made up front all at the same time. So blue would not be able to spend $1 to buy a delivery, have that delivery trigger more money in the event he was out, and then buy another delivery. You have to pay for all your extras at one time. So step 4, do your extra deliveries. And then the final phase of the game will be scoring. There's actually very little that happens here, so we should talk about what happens when you deliver, because that is where the bulk of the scoring actually is going to be. Endgame scoring is slight by comparison. So there are 2 places you can deliver to: craft buildings and your own market barrows or orders. If you deliver to a craft building, each craft building has 4 rows, 1 for each player. You do not interfere with each other. And so, for example, this craft building requires upgraded goods. This requires a cooking pot, I guess food. It will require meat, and it will require wine. So when a player completely fills his or her entire row, you are going to score that craft building. And you're going to do a couple things. The first thing that happens is you're going to get victory points equal to the current round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Then you are going to, if you are the first person to have completed that section, you are going to get the victory point that is located right next to it. So that's what this is for. You're going to put your marker here to show that you've completely finished this, and the first person to do it gets this victory point. Now, the final sort of thing that you want to look for is these blocker tiles that start the game that you rolled. When a building has been completed for the first time, the player that did it is also going to unlock and then get that victory point. So this was the first blocker tile. There's a number 1 right here. So blue just triggered that. Blue's going to get this victory point as a reward, and now this is open for all players. The blocker tile is gone. And likewise, the second and third one are also going to be unlocked when a new craft building is triggered. It could be any of the remaining 3, but it's not triggered if a second person does the same one. All right, and by the way, you can only do each craft building 1 time. A player cannot just keep redoing it. That's why you leave this thing here. All right, the final thing that happens when you finish the craft building, you are going to get this bonus tile. Each bonus tile has 2 parts. It has an instant, the lightning bolt symbol on the front, so you're going to trigger whatever that is. Sometimes it's a resource, sometimes it's ability, sometimes it's points. And then you're going to flip it over to its infinity sign. This is the passive permanent effect. And you're going to earn this starting the end of the round. So that's a kind of a minor detail you have to remember. You can put it on your board right away if you want, but you are not going to get the effects of the permanent side until the round is over and the new round begins. All right, so each one has one of these. Score points. Put your marker down, score bonus markers if you earn them, and then get one of the bonus tiles. Now, the second kind of delivery is to your own market barrow. Oh, I forgot to start the game off with these. These were supposed to be there when the game began. There we go. Your market barrows are similar. They have, so each card will tell you how many things it needs. This one needs 4. And when you have finished delivering, the moment that happens, you are also going to score it, and you're going to get a couple different things. The first thing that happens is you're going to earn what's called a trade good. These trade goods can be used at any time. Discard to earn one of the things printed on the board. So money, resources, pigs, play a card, etc., upgrades. And the second thing you're going to do is you're going to score points equal to the number on the card. So this is 5. You'll get 5 points. And then you're going to get to put one of your barrels on a 5 spot on the board. Remember that in a 3-player game, the outer side with the X's are not in play. So let's say I put it right here. All right. So when you put it down, you're going to get 5 points. And also you're going to look at every neighboring hex. For every opponent that is sitting at a smaller number, you will kick that token and you'll get 1 extra point. So green is currently on a 3, just placed on a 5. Green, haha, you're out. Get 5 points plus 1 point, and now you get to sit there. And you do not kick out your own discs. In the rare event that all the spaces of a given number are already occupied, so let's say I just finished a 5 and all the 5s are full, I can choose to kick another player's 5 out. And not only will I kick out all of the neighbors that are low number, I will also score a point for having kicked out that 5 itself. So it's actually kind of a nice thing to be able to hold off at the end of the game and be the last person to drop down one of these markers. All right, so that is how you score a craft building. That is how you score a market barrow. And the final thing is the scoring round at the end, scoring phase at the end of each round, where you will count up 1 point for every barrel that you manage to keep in this market area at the end of the round. So blue will get 2, red will get 1. And you score wherever you are located on the siesta track. So 1 point for green and red. And then next you will put everyone back in turn order at the beginning space of the siesta track. And then you will put out the roofs for the next turn. So those are all the steps to La Granja. Finish each of the 4 phases, do all the steps in order. Honestly, I don't even think I would ever try to play this game without this player 8 sitting right in front of my face. Now, at the end of 6 rounds, that'll be the final. And the only thing you do at the end is down here at the scoring, everyone will sell whatever they are able to sell. So every product in your den, remember, field items can only be used. They cannot be bought and sold. So sell everything, cash out all your trade goods at 4 silver, and then you will convert every 5 silver into 1 point. Player with the most points wins, and if it's tied, silver is going to tie break. And that is how you play La Granja.